Obviously, the action will start down in the House, where we expect the bill to be introduced, and more of it will happen on their end than on ours for the first couple of days. We'll be down there Friday and Saturday because we're required to by Constitution to go ahead and gavel in, but we'll really get going as far as our procedures on Monday, and I certainly do expect it to pass. Obviously, the governor is acutely aware, as are all the members of the General Assembly, that the quasis and the universities are really in a bad spot, and something's got to be done. And so he's taken the bull by the horns and really pushed this forward.
So during the 2019 session, when this bill was originally crafted, it started as just the regional universities. When it came over to the Senate, you added the quasi-governmental agencies. They are in a position where they're about to go bankrupt, many of them, and the stress of the pension costs are getting to them. So why is it so important to you that they are included in this bill, and where do you feel it needs to go to make them healthy again?
Sure. So, you've got to start with the idea that these are employers who are providing benefits to their employees, and they simply cannot afford to provide the benefits. Some of them can. This bill gives them the option to continue to provide those benefits if it's something that they can afford. But if they can't, it also gives them a glide path to transition their employees to something that's more sustainable for their organization, because these organizations provide critical services, from rape crisis centers to universities to mental health agencies and so many others. These are things that people expect and services that our citizens need. And the benefits for the employees have got to be affordable for the individual organizations. So many of them find themselves in very, very different situations, be it libraries or, like I said, mental health agencies, rape crisis centers, universities, and they have got to make the decision that's best for them. And so this bill will give them the opportunity to do that.
Because it wasn't handled before July 1, the rates have technically already gone up for these institutions. So, and they were at 49%, it's now 84%. When I spoke to the governor recently, he said because they don't have to technically pay it until August, it could be handled retroactively. What's your view on that in the current situation in terms of the fees?
Yeah, sure, that's a very accurate statement. Until I think August the 10th or maybe the 14th, the bill is not actually due. So it could be retroactively adjusted and give them a period, one more year of a freeze, which, while I don't like another year of a freeze, the fact is it costs the pension systems about $121 million, but they need that time to be able to make the adjustment and make the decisions that are best for their organizations, which is really what we're trying to do in this. We recognize that any solution to any pension problem is a 30 or maybe even a 40-year solution. This situation did not occur overnight, and it will not be solved overnight, but we've got to have some good long-term fiscal discipline. It's a good first step.
This pension issue is different than a lot of the other ones in the way that, people get riled up about pensions and they get angry because they think you're taking away their benefits and things like that. But this one's a little bit different in the way that you're really just trying to help institutions who are asking for help move forward. So what do you want people to understand about the difference in this versus a bill that deals with the teachers' retirement system?
Sure. So first and foremost, this is a bill that most of these employers want. And if they don't want to have to exit the pension system, they don't have to exit the pension system. But they do have to pay for the benefits of their employees and their retirees that they're responsible for. And I think that any reasonable taxpayer in the Commonwealth would expect that to happen. And so the fact is, while people like to get riled up about pensions, most of these employers are asking for the relief, they're asking for the options that are provided here, and this is the best value for the taxpayers of the Commonwealth.
And the criticism of this bill from people, especially dealing in the system, is that eventually KRS will not be receiving as much money because there's not as many employees going in. Others argue that they're already not growing employment. I think you said during session this is the best of bad options. Every option is bad. So what's your response to people who say that this is going to hurt the Kentucky retirement system long term?
Sure. So the fact is, long term, this will help the retirement system. The pain that the retirement system will feel will actually come in the short term because there won't be the immediate contributions coming from the members of organizations where their leadership, remember, it will be their leadership who makes a decision to leave the retirement system, and those contributions will not come in the same manner that they would have previously come. But the fact is, these employers who choose to leave the system can't afford to make those contributions anyway. So it's not a function of, are we getting everything that we really should get. It's a function of, can they even afford to make partial payments on what is there? And a lot of these folks are Medicaid-based services or some other type of fixed revenue stream where they don't have the ability to raise this money, and the option is really get nothing whatsoever because these folks end up going out of business or not paying their pension bill, or get as much as they can possibly contribute, give them a reasonable time frame to work their way into a payment system, and ultimately get our system back to solvent. And it will take decades. We've been on this path for the Kentucky retirement system since 2013 when Senator Thayer led the effort on Senate Bill 2, but it's going to take several more decades to really fully get this under control.
Is there anything else that we haven't covered about the special session or this bill in particular that you want people to understand?
I really want people to understand that the General Assembly, as it's currently constituted, and especially since Governor Bevin came in, has maintained a commitment to this pension system that's been unparalleled. The acute problems with the pension system really didn't start to become evident until the late 90s. And from the late 90s and until really 2013, they were largely ignored. And even though the governors would know about them, the fact is they would recommend that the money be spent elsewhere, and it would happen that way. But under Governor Bevin and with our help in the General Assembly, we have funded these pensions at record levels. We're doing our best to strike a balance between what's fair to the pensioners and the employees, as well as to the taxpayers of the Commonwealth. Because ultimately, if we burden the taxing system of the Commonwealth to the point that we can't afford the pension payments anymore, businesses will simply find their way across the river. Northern Kentucky, we have to compete with Ohio, we have to compete with Indiana, in the South, Tennessee, or West Virginia, or Illinois, or take your pick. The Commonwealth doesn't exist on an island. And the businesses, if the tax burden becomes too high, will simply find their way into another state. And we have an obligation, not just to the governmental employees, but also to all those other taxpayers, to have good, solid jobs here in Kentucky so we continue to be the best state that we can.